Hi, hello, how are you? I hope you're having an amazing day. I'm so excited to do today's video. I'm very excited today. We are going to be reviewing what I read in July. Today is July 30th, so I don't think I'm gonna finish the book I'm reading today. Possibly tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised, but I hope you guys are having an amazing day. I've never really made a book content YouTube video before, but I read a lot and I really love books, so I thought I would do this because I read a lot this month and I thought it'd be cool to share with you guys what I read. The first one I read this month was Cinderella Is Dead. I got this at an indie bookstore in New York. It was amazing. I highly recommend it. It was a really good fantasy book. It's kind of like a feminist fantasy book, almost like it is like women and femmes destroying the patriarchy. And it's a really interesting book. Essentially, Cinderella's story is a religion and it's just super interesting, so I would highly recommend this book. Super quick and easy to read. It is like 400 pages almost, but I went through it so fast and there's never really a dull moment in the book, and I really enjoyed it. I would give this book 5 stars. I think I did on Goodreads. I gave this a 5-star, so very good. The next book is This Coven Won't Break. This is the second book. I think the first one is called This Coven Won't Burn, a queer witch book. I believe there's only 2 books in the story. It might be continuing, I'm not sure. This book came out last year in May, so I don't know if another one's coming, or maybe it's a trilogy. Don't take my word for it, but I believe I gave this book 4 stars. It was really good. I liked it. I personally liked the first book of the series more, but this book definitely resolved a lot of what happened in the first book, so I really liked it. And yeah, I don't know. I am really into queer witches books. There was one I read, I believe last summer, that I really loved as well, but I definitely want to find more. If you guys have recommendations for any books, leave them in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys like to read, what you guys have read that you really like. I'd love to know. Next up is Written in the Stars. Tropes like this. So this is like a modern fiction book, so it's not fantasy. My fantasy favorite trope is enemies to lovers, but this trope was like they were fake dating and then of course fell in love, which is probably one of my favorite like modern tropes because that doesn't really happen in fiction fantasy books. And it was really amazing. The main character is an astrologer and very spiritual and very into like that type of stuff, and the person she's attracted to is not, and is very stark and like mathematical, but it's interesting to see the relationship build, and I related to the main character in many ways, and also I related to like the friendships I have with people that aren't really into the stuff I am completely. So I don't know, it was a really cool book. I highly recommend. I believe I gave this a 5-star. I'm sorry, I don't remember, but it's all subjective anyways. But this definitely was a 5-star book. It was a little slow at points for me personally, but I loved it, and I did get through this really fast as well. I read this like on the back of reading One Last Stop, so I was like on like a queer like fiction roll, and it was perfect. It was great. Okay, so I picked this up along with, I believe, Cinderella Is Dead. It is Kings, Queens, and In-Betweens. I really honestly had high hopes for this book. I didn't entirely know what I expected, but just like the premise of the book was super exciting. It is there's drag queens, kings, and like this main character is discovering her sexuality, and there's a lot of like BIPOC representation as well, and obviously a lot of queer and trans representation too. I was really excited for that, but the main character wasn't my favorite, and I found the writing to be a little loose at points, and there were a lot of like loose ends, and she was really insecure for most of the book, but then when it like made sense to the plot, she would all of a sudden be confident, and it didn't make sense. And also her love interest was like elusive. Like they never really said the specific age. However, you could gather that they were at least 21 and the main character is 17. I don't vibe with that, so I stopped reading it. This is definitely a DNF. I'm like a little over halfway through, but I just couldn't. And after reading like some more reviews, I felt better about stopping. So I have very few DNFs for the most part. I try to like persevere and get through it because I don't like leaving books unfinished. But this one started making me feel uncomfortable, and I was getting angry at it, and I just couldn't, so I stopped. This might be a book you're into. I definitely think the like main character is definitely a lot younger minded too, which definitely was like offsetting for me. I believe they're going into their senior year of high school. I don't know. The drag parts were amazing. The main drag queen that you meet, an icon, but it didn't save the book, to be honest. So this was definitely a DNF for me. I also finished the Lioness Rampant series, or is it the Song of the Lioness? Sorry. So I've also finished the Song of the Lioness series. I'm obsessed with Tamora Pierce. I love the way that she writes her books. I started with the Becca Cooper series, which was one of the later books in the like Tortall realm, which doesn't matter too much, but I'm now starting from the beginning, which I believe this is the beginning, and then going up back to Becca Cooper series, and I think there's one after the Becca Cooper series, but I just ordered the next series that comes after this one. I'm so excited. I absolutely love Tamira's brain and just the way that she writes. I think it's incredible, the world building. It's just, I highly recommend any of her books. I haven't read all of them, but I'm sure they're just as amazing. And I don't know, I think it's so cool. The main character in this book is queer, and it's just super cool. It starts when they are like 11, I believe, and as they grow up. I've never read a book in the mindset of someone that young, but it definitely was not weird, and it was really good. And it was also really cool to see them grow up throughout the series. There's 4 books in the series, and it was just really cool to see them grow up and see like their relationships build and form and change and see them mature. Highly recommend. And it gets really exciting, especially if you've read other series. You see like commonalities, like the same town, a similar last name to, like, or like the same last name as someone later in the series. Does that tie in somehow? It's just really cool the way that she builds her series and the way they all connect together. So I highly recommend. This book, The Alchemist, has been on my TBR list for so long, and I finally got it. I read it in like a day. I loved it. I thought it was amazing. It is very basic. It has a lot of basic principles, but just the way the story is told, and just like, I want to read this again for sure. But yeah, it's only 150 pages. It is very quick. I have so many annotations, but if you are into like spirituality and like understanding the universe and just the way like it all works together, highly recommend. I think it's really cool, and especially, I don't know, I think it was amazing. And even if you're not like a spiritual person, I think this book is digestible enough that maybe it won't like turn you off. I don't know, I just think it's really beautiful and really amazing, and I highly recommend this book. This book has been around for forever, but yeah, I don't know, read it if you want to. If it's been on your TBR list, here is the message. Go check it out. And then the second to last book that I've finished this month is The Colossus of New York. I had to read this for Pratchett. It is like the orientation book you have to read. It just is about different places in New York City, and it was really cool. I believe I finished this one in like a day as well. I don't know, just the way it was written was so beautiful. It's like little mini essays of different places in New York, and it like perfectly captured like a New York City mindset. In my mind, like the author is from New York City, so it makes sense. But I really liked it. Like, I really enjoyed it, and it was a beautiful wake-up call, or like a beautiful like difference of like what you normally read in like primary school, like high school, but like this was definitely so much better and has given me high expectations for what we're gonna read in school, but loved it. Okay, and then the end of July, I found myself craving my comfort series, and I thought it was perfect because Mastastic podcast, or Fandomtastic podcast, I believe, is doing a series of episodes on their podcast where they like recap each book, and I like saw that and I was like, this is a sign. I need to read it. I need to read it again. I've read this series at least 5 times, but I think this is my second reread where I've had all of the books finished, like all of the books. The series is done. I have all the books, So I'm excited. I finished Assassin's Blade a couple days ago. I'm like over halfway through Throne of Glass, but I love Sarah. Like, obviously this is her first series. She was 16 when she wrote the first book, so the first 2 books are like definitely like not the best, but they're still amazing. Like, I could never write that well and I'm 17. And they just keep on getting better and better. This isn't my favorite series of hers, but it's still an amazing series, and I was craving it because I like too recently have read A Court of Thorns and Roses to read it again, and then I wasn't gonna torture myself reading Crescent City knowing that another book is coming out in January. I ordered a pre-copy, an exclusive copy, which I'm so excited. I've never done that before, and I pre-ordered an exclusive copy with extra content of House and Earth and Blood, and I'm so excited. I can't even, I'm sorry, this wasn't supposed to be a rant on just how much I love Sarah, but what else did we expect? But yeah, amazing. I'm having so much fun. I just love her books. What else can I say? Okay, and next up, so this is, they just all crumbled, the giant stack of books of what I've read this month. And then we have books that I'm in the process of reading that I started reading this month but haven't finished, or books that I carry on for months and months and months, because there are a lot of nonfiction books I'm reading, and I can't read nonfiction books really fast, especially some of the ones I'm reading right now, but we're gonna go through the fiction books I'm reading first and then the nonfiction. First up is The Wicked King, which is the second book of the Cruel Prince series. Now, I struggled so much with finishing the first one. It was amazing, it was really, really good, but something about her writing to me is super, super slow. This is my personal opinion, I am not bagging on the author or anyone that likes this book, but it's slow for me, and it takes me a while to get through these books, and I normally like fast-paced fantasy books where I'm like super just racing through it for the most part. I don't know what it is about this book that makes it hard for me to do that, but it's still amazing. I really like it, and I'm gonna finish it because I want to find out what happens. It's just taking me a little bit of time, so maybe I'll try and finish it this month, but we'll see. And then I'm also currently reading Under the Udala Trees, or Tree? Yeah, Trees. Amazing. I'm absolutely in love. It's so beautiful written, but there is some triggering content, so I'm definitely reading it slower than I normally would read a fiction book, but I think it's a really important message and story, and I don't know, I want to continue to read it, but it just takes me a little bit longer to get through it, but it's a beautiful, beautiful book. Okay, so for my nonfiction books, I have been reading, this book, I love this book with my entire heart. It is definitely my favorite nonfiction book, and I'm only that far into it. Can you see how little I have gotten through it? But look at it. It's so dense. Look at that. That's every single page. But it's incredible. This is 500 pages. And I'm only on 67? But it's amazing. It's Women Who Run with the Wolves. And it's about female archetypes or woman archetypes and just myths and legends that are dissected by Pinkola Estes, and it's absolutely incredible. I don't know, it's just an incredible book. I find myself just so enthralled by the messages in this book and just the way that she writes. This is her entire life's research and work, and reading it is just the most incredible thing ever, and I highly, highly, highly recommend it if you're looking for an empowering nonfiction book. I don't know, it's just incredible. I recommend if you're looking for something like that. And then the final book is Kundalini Yoga. Very fast book. It's a simple textbook, but I take a lot of notes while reading this. It's just about a yoga practice, and just a lot of stuff that goes with that, and I'm just learning a lot through this book, and it's really, really amazing. I want to learn more constantly, and this has really been helpful and has really deepened my practice already, and I can't wait to continue reading this. I'm actually going to keep this over here because I read it right over here. And then I'm going to show you a couple books as I look over to my pile of 10 books that I have that I still need to read. Hey. But I'm gonna show you the book I'm reading right now, of course. Throne of Glass. In the middle of this, I've read it like twice today, halfway through. We'll probably finish this in a couple days. Just got this book, Angel Fall. I have a couple more thrifted books coming in the mail, and I'm so excited, even though that pile is staring at me. But I really want to read this. I'm very excited. I think I'm going to start this tomorrow. It looks really, really fast, just the way it's formatted, so we'll see. I'm excited to see what this book's like. But yeah, I thrift majority of my books. I either get them thrifted or go to an indie bookstore. Just because that's, like, thrifted books are cheaper, and, like, I got 6 books for, like, $23, and I was like, that's, like, the cost of, like, 2 books if you went to, like, a normal bookstore. And absolutely I want to support indie bookstores, but my budget doesn't always allow me to do so, so thrifting books is a really, really great alternative. And also for nonfiction books, or like any type of book, I love seeing what people have annotated in their books before it came to me. I think that's so cool. Some people don't like it. I personally love it. I think it like adds to my experience of reading the book. And I don't mind books that are banged up. I think it gives them more of a story. But this one's like brand new, which is super cool. Like, it looks like it's been read like once or twice, which maybe that means whoever read it didn't like it, so we'll see. But I want to show you a couple of the books that I want to read this month. I'm gonna go grab them. I'm actually just gonna highlight 2 more. I have a whole pile. I don't know what I'm gonna get through this month. This is also a hugely busy month for me. But the first one is Terry Pratchett's Small Gods. I think this is a huge series. Like, this is like the 29th book or 18th book, something like that. But my friend gifted this to me for my birthday a couple years ago, or like a year ago. So I really, really have been meaning to read this. It looks like it's going to be easy to read, so I'm hoping to get into that. And then this came out in June. I think I talked about this in another video, How the Word is Passed. I'm really, really excited to read this as well. I have another history textbook that I'm trying to get through right now, which I haven't shown, but I'm very excited to read this as well. So this is definitely something I'm going to try to get into this month as well. Anyways, I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's different, but I'm trying to branch out with the content I make, especially because my content's gonna have to change within the next month or 2. But I hope you guys enjoyed seeing what I read this month. I'm really excited to show you what I read in August. Hopefully we get through a lot of books. We'll see. I don't like try to pressure myself to read like as many books as I possibly can. I just flow and see whatever happens. But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed. Feel free to leave book recommendations in the comments below, or tell me your opinions on the books I've read. Have you read one of them? What did you think? But yeah, make sure to leave a like and subscribe and check out all my other content. It would mean the absolute world to me, and I will see you guys very, very soon. Bye!